Welcome to our session today, our mobile-friendly online lectures using Blackboard Collaborate. This is one in a series of online workshops we've offered as part of a mobile learning series. And we're so glad that you've joined us today, those of you that are joining us live and participating live today, as well as those who perhaps are viewing this as a recording, the archive of this workshop. Either way, we're glad to have you with us today. My name is Jason Rohde, and I'm the Assistant Director of the Faculty Development and Instructional Design Center at Northern Illinois University. And among the various responsibilities I have include offering these types of workshops, working with faculty one-on-one and in consultations in regards to implementing technology in their teaching and teaching online. That's a passion of mine, and I do teach online myself and try to share some of those experiences and best practices with everybody. So glad to be with you today. My contact information is here on this slide. I'll also have it at the end of the presentation today, and you're welcome to follow up with me if you have any more questions or would like to just follow up and further discuss any of these concepts that we'll talk about here today during the session. So our workshop today really is about mobile, and at least one of our participants is logged in on a mobile device, which is fantastic because I did design today's session to be completely mobile friendly and to allow someone to fully participate from a mobile device. Really, my goal here today is so by the end of our time together that you'll have learned how you can design online sessions using Blackboard Collaborate that students can fully participate in from a mobile app, from their mobile device. And in order to do that, we're going to start with taking a look at some of the features that are available for the Blackboard Collaborate mobile app for iOS that students have access to. They can install it for free and make use of it. And then what's that experience like for students participating during a live session? So for those of you that don't have a mobile device or you've never experienced a Blackboard Collaborate session from a mobile device, I'm going to try to give you an experience of what that's like here today. So we'll see that experience from a student's perspective, and I'm going to again give you some kind of an overview of what that's like, and then kind of go through and share some tips for how you can design web conferencing sessions that maximize the features of Blackboard Collaborate Mobile so that you're able to offer the best possible collaborative learning experience for your students. So that's really where we're headed today, and again, glad to have you with us. So I have a couple of polling questions here just to get a quick sense of everyone's previous experiences, those of you that are participating live here today. So my first question is, have you ever led a Blackboard Collaborate session as a leader? So have you yourself been a session leader and led a session? So if you can go ahead and respond here today. See, we've got a couple of responses. I'll wait another few seconds to give anyone else a chance to respond. And then I'll go ahead and I'm going to publish out those responses. So so far of everyone, those that have responded, no one has led a Blackboard Collaborate session yet yourself from a computer. So really what we're doing today and how I'm leading the session is from a computer. And that's going to be the tips that I talk about are going to assume today that you're working from a computer leading a session. Currently, you're not able to lead a session from a mobile device. However, that is Blackboard is working on adding that capability to mobile and something that we can expect in the future. So that's question one. Question two, do you own a mobile device? Now this could be a smartphone, it could be a tablet such as an iPad or other tablet device, or even an e-reader, something like Kindle Fire or that sort. And or second response would be no, that you do not own a smartphone or a tablet. So I see we've got our responses in. Let me go ahead and I'm going to publish out those responses here to the whiteboard. And this is something that you're able to do in Blackboard Collaborate is when you conduct a polling question like I am here, you're able to then push those results out, publish them to the whiteboard, and individuals, whether they're on a computer or a mobile device, they can see those responses. And so here you can see that two of you do have a smartphone or a tablet and one does not. And so what we're going to talk about today, if you have a mobile device, and in particular at this point an iOS device, you can experience Blackboard Collaborate sessions as a student. In fact, I'm currently logged in. If you notice in the participant list, I'm logged in. There's a user logged in called Jason's iPad. So I'm logged in twice right now, both as the moderator presenting and on my iPad, so that I can glance over and I can see what that experience is like on my tablet. And that's a tip that I'll reiterate, something you might consider if you do have a mobile device. But if not, the tips that we talk about today, simply implementing these into your sessions will make your live online sessions mobile friendly, and you can rest assured then that students will be able to fully participate using their mobile device. So in order for students to participate, they need to use Blackboard Collaborate Mobile. And currently, as of February 28th, 2013, Blackboard Collaborate is a mobile app. It's free. It's currently available for iOS. However, the Android version is coming very quickly that allows students to participate from their device. So here on this slide, these couple screenshots that I've included, this first one with the iPad here is an actual screenshot of a live session that is being, a user can participate right on the iPad. And then the phone that you see here, this is actually a look at a Blackboard course that is being viewed through the Blackboard Mobile Learn app. And so Blackboard Collaborate Mobile is a perfect complement to Blackboard Mobile Learn. The fact that you can design Blackboard courses that are completely mobile accessible, and so that students can participate fully from a mobile device. And one of the resources I'm going to share a little bit later is to an archived workshop we recently offered, where we get into some specifics of how can you design mobile-friendly Blackboard courses. So what we're going to talk about today is specifically Blackboard Collaborate and the use of the Blackboard Collaborate mobile app by students if they're logging in to participate in these live online sessions. Now, currently, as of right today, only students with iOS compatible devices can install this app and participate. So that would be students on either an iPad, an iPhone, or an iPod Touch. Blackboard is, as of today, rapidly working on the Android app that will work on all Android mobile devices, tablets, as well as even devices that are running a flavor of Android like Kindle Fire. And so that's going to be coming here before the end of the spring semester. We anticipate that that will be released. It's currently in a beta process, being beta tested, and NIU is actually participating in that process. So we're looking forward to very soon students really on any mobile platform being able to participate live in a live online session. So let's take a look a little bit at what that experience is like for a student on a mobile device. So what I've done is I've taken a series of screenshots here to give you a glimpse of what it's like for someone on a mobile device, and this is in particular an iOS device currently, how they can participate from their device using the free Blackboard Collaborate mobile app. So they would need to install that app onto their device and then access the session. The first step, and something that those of you that are participating live did a little while ago, was to raise your hand. And to be able to do that on the mobile app, the user, there is a little hand button that they simply tap on to raise and lower their hand. And you can see the location, whether it's on the phone or the iPad, where that is located. So raising your hand is something that's a very common task and something that students can do very easily. Speaking is something that certainly from the mobile device students do have the ability to do, and you'll notice that, and something that we advocate is to have students raise their hand if they do want to speak, just like you would in a live classroom session. And then after that student has been acknowledged, then they can, and the instructor, the moderator, you can control whether or not you want to have the microphone capabilities enabled, the audio capabilities enabled by default for students. Currently in our session today, I have them disabled so that a student just can't arbitrarily speak unless they raise their hand. And so that's kind of a personal preference. But once a student has raised their hand, been acknowledged, and you've enabled the microphone capabilities for them, they can simply tap on this little microphone icon that you see, this little button in the top middle, and it depresses in, and it will start to, as they start to speak then, it'll be registered, this little top part of the microphone will register the audio level. And so the student can get a visual cue that yes, they're being picked up, yes, they're being heard. And then once they're finished speaking, again, they could just tap on that button once again once they've finished. Something else that students can do and that a user can do currently is to step away from the room. So to basically give a visual cue that they are no longer participating actively. They've had to step away from their computer, or in this case, the mobile device. And so there is an icon on the app. It looks like a little clock that the student can simply tap to basically step away from the session, and then they can tap it once again to return. And one of the neat features of the mobile app is that if a student, one of the things that if you're familiar with iOS, you have the ability to kind of double tap the home button to leave an app and go into a different app. So if a student were to just leave the app and go launch something else, they're automatically shown as having stepped away. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. I'm connected on my iPad, and I just left the app, and you'll notice that it currently, those of you participating live in our participant list, it says that I'm currently away. And if I go ahead and bring up the Collaborate app back up on my iPad, it automatically brings me back. And and I see, Margot, you just tried it yourself, and you can see how what that experience is like. So a student on the mobile device, they can't just log in and then be in essence going off and doing something else. The only way that they are shown as being live and actively participating in the room is if they do have the app open and they are hearing the audio that's being shared. As soon as they do try to leave, go to a different app, it does show them automatically as being away. And after they're away for, I believe it's around the 5-minute range, they'll automatically be logged off if they don't return. So that's a little bit of how the management with stepping away, how that works on the mobile app. All right, something else, a common activity for students in live online sessions would be to respond to different types of polling questions. So the ability to respond to a yes/no type of a poll. Simply tapping on the little check mark icon that basically mimics the check mark button that we see in the participant list above our names. When a user would click on that, then they could select whichever option they choose to select. And interestingly, the list of options is dictated by the type of polling question that the instructor or moderator has enabled. So by default, the default polling type is this yes/no polling type with the green check mark and the red X. And that's what we would refer to as a yes/no type of polling question. But if I go to bring up another type of question, which might be a multiple choice poll, if I, as the moderator, were to set the polling type to multiple choice, you would see that when tapping on the little polling button, the little check mark, the options now are A, B, C, D, and not the check mark and X. And you'll also notice that this option here to the very far left, the little circle with the line through it, this is for the user to clear out their response. So if they selected A and wanted to change their answer, they could just tap the other option, or to completely clear out their response, they could just tap the little circle with the line through it, and that would remove the response that they had shared there. So students on the mobile device can participate in polling questions and do that live directly on the device. And so multiple choice polls are a great way to encourage interaction and to break up a live online session. So rather than it being a straight lecture, trying to build in different opportunities for interaction with the students, having different types of polling questions that you kind of include throughout a live online session can add that interactivity to your sessions. Now, something else that students may wish to do is to provide other types of responses, referred to as emoticons. And there's on the app, there's a little, looks like a smiley face. And again, much like the little button with the smile that we see in the participant window, just above our names, but you can, on the mobile app, a user can tap on that little smiley button, and then there are a number of different responses. So that, for example, there's a little hand clap. This is a virtual applause. There's a smiley face. There's a laughter one. There's a thumbs up, thumbs down. Go faster, go slower. So anyway, just some other ways in which a user can give a little bit of emotion and share that without even coming on the microphone. And so that's what the little smiley button is all about. Now the text chat, this happens to be really a staple of live online sessions. The fact that you don't have to have even microphone capabilities, but you can be just typing in the text chat area. So whether it be on the tablet or the phone, there is the ability to type in the text chat. So here you can see on the phone, there's a little right here. It looks like a little down arrow, little gray tab, if you will. And when you go to the text chat, you can simply type in, tap in this area right here, type in your text that you wish to post, and then you click the send button. And what this little down arrow allows, the text that then is typed in this text chat area then appears in this white space above the kind of the entry bubble. So same thing here on the iPad. You can see that right here looks a little bit different, but the same idea. You would type in the text chat, click send, and then the text appears up here in this kind of main chat room window area. Now, where this little down arrow is helpful is the user can actually tap on that on the phone to expand or collapse the text chat. So if they want to kind of focus on what would be up here in the whiteboard area, the slides, they can tap on this little tab here to collapse down the text chats, so they don't have to see that. And then simply tapping, they can bring it back up. On the iPad, it's really pretty slick. You can go up here to this gray bar area up here, and this window can actually be expanded and collapsed. So by clicking and kind of holding and dragging, the user can then resize this text chat window to make it larger or smaller. So depending on the amount of text that you want to see, the user can control that. So that's really a slick little feature and something that's maybe not obvious when you first look at the app, but once you get in and start to play with it, it's a really great feature. All right, so that's a little bit about kind of the experience for the students. We're going to come back and drill down a little bit deeper, but there are two references I want to point out right now. Two quick reference guides that Blackboard has recently made available. We have these linked to on the Blackboard Collaborate support pages on our NIU website, but I also created some short URLs and I put them here in the on these slides. I'll also email these out to those of you that are participating live here today. Once the archive is prepared for today's session, I'll send out an email with the link to the archive, and I'll include in the email links to this as well as one other resource in particular. This happens to be a quick reference guide for participants. So if you have students that are going to be participating from a mobile device, it's a good idea. You could include a link to this PDF and recommend that the students take a look at this, perhaps download it themselves. And it walks through a lot of what I kind of just shared, but in a kind of a briefer, quick snapshot for the students. So for example, here you can see an overview of the interface with kind of pointing out the different buttons. and so forth, what the students can do. Really great little reference guide that you can point your students to. So I'll point that out. There's also a similar document that's a little more in depth, and it's referred to as the Mobile Web Conferencing Session Management Tips for Moderators. And this is a more extensive document that really walks through not only an overview again of the mobile app interface, but gives you some actual tips as far as getting started in designing your session. So part of what I'm going to share here today comes from this. I'm going to drill down a bit deeper on a few of the bullet items that are covered, but it is a resource that we do recommend for faculty who are thinking about, and more and more we're seeing more of our students making use of mobile devices and wanting to participate in mobile ways. So this is a great resource that you can download a copy of, refer to as you're becoming comfortable designing sessions that are completely mobile compatible. So again, both of these resources I'll mention again, and I will send out links to in email form. So when it comes to leading a session, first of all, it's important to keep in mind that moderators or session facilitators, either way, they must join the session from a desktop or laptop computer. Now this is currently, as of today, February 2013. As I've mentioned, Blackboard is working on adding moderator capabilities to the mobile apps, and in time you're going to see more of those features trickle into the mobile experience. But currently moderator tools are not available from a mobile device. So any of the management types of things that you can do within the computer interface, logging in from a computer, none of those are currently available in the mobile apps. The first iteration of both the tablet and smartphone apps were really designed for students and to allow them to participate, but not necessarily for leading a session. Now, I've already kind of talked about the layout on the phone, which would be whether it be an iPhone or an iPod Touch, and so I just included that again here just as a reminder once again of some of the different options that you have, and kind of just a summary of what I've already talked about. There are a couple of other buttons here that I haven't mentioned in depth yet that we'll talk a little more about. One is this Room Options button up here. You see it is labeled as Room Options, but this you can tap on, and you have a few other options here. The other, especially on the phone, is a Participants List button. So by tapping on this button, a user can see the list of participants, and this is not readily visible on the phone, the app. However, when you go into the iPad layout, it looks similar, but it was really custom designed to take advantage of the additional real estate on the screen that you have on a tablet. And so on the iPad, what I mentioned, the participant list, this list here of moderators, list of participants, this is what basically when you would tap on the participant button that was on the previous screen, when you would tap on that, this is the box that in essence flies out and that you're able to see kind of who's logged in. Also, there is a Room Options button here that lets you pull out and see the room options. This is also where how a student would see the breakout rooms and be able to see that they're in a breakout room. That's all part of that Room Options area. But so notice here that on the iPad, when we compare it to the iPhone, the iPad app has more information on the screen at once. The user can go into what's called recliner mode, and this button that you see up here, it's like a diagonal arrow. I know it's hard to see for you to see currently, but it's a little button that has kind of diagonal looking arrows, and when the user taps on that, it in essence goes to kind of the full screen mode where it collapses down the participant list and even the chat here and lets them really focus on the whiteboard content, so that being the slide that we see here, for example. Or if we were doing application sharing, which is a feature that does work on the iPad, the ability to share something that's happening on your screen, that would be easier, and the student participant could more readily see that portion of the presentation in that content area. They would always still have, however, the series of emoticon and the different buttons down here to step away, to raise their hand, or even to answer a polling question. So on the iPad, there are a few more options that available to the student just because of the size of the screen that's available to them. Now, let me kind of give you an overview of the summary of the available functions on the mobile app. So these are things that the student can do on the mobile app as of today. So they can do the whiteboard, which again, this refers to anything that I show on the screen. So whether it's a PowerPoint slide like this that we're looking at, if I were to just have a whiteboard, a plain whiteboard, and do some annotating or drawing, they can see all of that on the mobile app, whether it's iPad or the iPhone. The student can also view a shared application on another user's desktop. So if I were to open up what's called application sharing and show you something on my screen, the user can actually see that. They can see that type of sharing, if you will. So you do have that option even on a mobile. You can do application sharing, which apart from showing presentation slides, application sharing is probably one of my favorite means of showing other types of content, because as the moderator, you retain control of the computer. So you control what the students can see or can't see. The students can also work in breakout rooms. So if you want to break the students into smaller discussion rooms for small group discussion, even if they're participating on a mobile app, they can you can move them into breakout rooms and they can participate fully in those sessions. They can send and receive chat messages with the entire room. So they can fully participate in the text chat that involves everybody. They can listen to the session audio, and they can also speak to the room. So they can be on the go, and they could be hearing the audio. They can also participate from their device, which is really powerful when you think about the fact that with a mobile device, you can really be almost anywhere nowadays with data plans and such. And students, there's the potential there that they could participate in a live session truly from anywhere. They can also, as we've discussed earlier, they can respond to polls from the mobile device. So this is the summary of the functions that are currently available today on iPad or iPhone, the mobile app that's available for Blackboard Collaborate. Now, these are the functions, however, that are not currently available as of today. So, and these would be the functions that you would try to avoid if you want to make your session fully mobile compatible at this point. So first would be private chat. So if you're expecting students to send a private message to you, private question, currently on the mobile app, there's no private chat options. Students can only chat with the entire room. You cannot do live video. So currently, for example, if someone's participating from a mobile app, they're not seeing my live video that's being shared right now. So I have the video panel, and those of you participating live, you're seeing me talking to you live from my office. On the mobile app, there's just no way to see live video. You also cannot do what's called a file transfer. So in the online interface participating from a computer, as a moderator, I can push out a file to all participants, and they can be prompted to save that onto their computer. At present, you cannot send a file to a user on the mobile app. They would just not see that file transmission. There's something called the multimedia library in the web interface, which lets you, for example, I could preload a video clip that I wanted to show everybody. I could load that in, and then I could, at a certain point in the presentation, I could play that video, and we would all see that if connected from a computer. But those that are participating from a mobile device, they wouldn't see that video play currently. Whiteboard annotation is currently restricted to the computer, the desktop or laptop interface, meaning if I wanted to have all of you annotate to add some comments on a whiteboard slide, you'd have to be on a computer to do that. At present, on the mobile apps, you can only view the whiteboard. Moderator controls are all currently built into the desktop or computer interface. The mobile app, you cannot add or remove permissions. You cannot do some of the other moderator type functions that you would typically be accustomed to doing on the computer. And then finally, recording playback. So currently, if you record a session the way we have it set up here at NIU, you can record a Blackboard Collaborate session. That recording link automatically becomes available and you can be visible within Blackboard. If a student taps on that link right now, as of present, those recordings do not play back on the mobile device. We do, however, have the ability now, as of a recent update, to be able to, after you record a session from your computer, you initiate that process, you go through, you lead a session as a moderator on your computer, you finish the session, you stop the recording. If you go back into Blackboard, once the recording is displayed in Blackboard, there's the option now to convert that recording to a mobile-friendly format, a mobile video MP4 or MP3 format. And then the student, once that conversion happens, then the student could tap on that particular link and watch that on their device. So technically, it is possible for students to view archives on a mobile device, but there's a little extra step now that as faculty you'll need to do, and that is to convert those recordings first within Blackboard. Now, and I should also say that we do have a tutorial. Recently we recorded a tutorial on that process, and that's available online. I'll make sure I include that link as well in the resources that I send out to those of you participating live. Now, the participant list, this is something important to point out. And the fact that the moderator, you have a clear indication of which of your participants are connected to the session through a mobile device. And you'll see listed in a participant list, you see a couple of icons. So here in this example, here's Emma, and you see this icon here. This is the phone icon. We know she's connected from a phone. And then beneath, here's John, and we can see that John is connected. His icon appears differently. A tablet icon, he's connected from an iPad. So as the moderator, when you're logged in and you're leading a session, you'll start to see the numbers of students that are logged in and participating using a mobile device, because as you scroll through your participant list, you'll see those icons right there. And it's important to keep in mind as the moderator that you're able to understand what your mobile participants are seeing. So on the iPad, for example, your participants, that list of participants is displayed by default, and it's only hidden when the student goes into that recliner mode or when they tap the button to kind of go full screen. But on the iPhone or the iPod Touch, the participant list is hidden by default, and they have to tap the participant button to get that list to appear. It's just something important to keep in mind, that they're not seeing everyone that's logged in if they're connected on a phone, but if they're on an iPad, they do see that list. So this is something where this having this bit of knowledge is helpful, just to know kind of what that experience is like for your students. So that's the participant list. Now, again, on the iPhone or the smartphone, the student simply would tap on the participant button here to open and close then the participant list. And what's neat about seeing that participant list is the students can see then the different types of responses. So for example, up here we see the chair is currently speaking, so we can see the little speaker icon here to the right of the name, and is using the applause emoticon. So the emoticons that are, or the actions that are being currently performed, are in color, and they kind of pop off the list. And so if we look at down here, we go to John, we can tell from looking at John that he's actually speaking. So here's the little speaker notification. And he's responded to a poll, so I can see that he responded yes, and that he has his hand raised. And if we go down here and we look at Emma, Emma is me in this example here on this slide. So Emma would be, I can know that's me, that I currently have my speaker enabled. I'm speaking. I have raised my hand, and I've selected no to a poll. So the participants can see a nice summary on the iPhone of what's happening, but they first have to tap on the participant list button. Now on the iPad, of course, they don't have to do that. It displays by default in the upper right side. As far as audio, if as the moderator you remove the participant's audio permission, so you take that away, which is what I've currently done in this particular live session, the talk button on the mobile device has a little slash across it. And if I were to go ahead, and I'm just going to go ahead and quickly, I'm going to enable audio for everyone, just so that Margot, who's participating live, can see that now that line went away, and technically she could just tap on the audio button and she could speak. Again, going back, and I can just as easily as I gave that permission, I can take it away. And in real time now, the app has, again, a line through the microphone button on the mobile app. Now, chat. Let's talk a little bit about chat. And as I've already mentioned, mobile participants, they cannot send or receive private chat messages. So typically what happens is if you initiate a private chat with someone, there's a tab that appears at the bottom of the chat window with the name of the individual that you're having a private chat with, and then you would be able to chat with that individual. Currently, on the mobile app, private chat is not enabled for the participants. So what ends up happening, if you go ahead and send a private chat message request to someone on a mobile device, the sender then receives a message indicating that that participant is on a mobile device and is unable to receive a private chat message. So this is an example here of the chair, which went ahead and sent a private message to Emma, and then that chair automatically sees this message. It looks as though Emma typed it in, but really it's coming from the system just declaring that she is on a mobile device and doesn't have the private chat functionality enabled. So it's okay to, even for participants, to try to send someone a private message on a mobile device. They'll be notified that private messages, that user is not able to receive a private message. Now, breakout rooms. Breakout rooms are a great feature. It is certainly one that you can use with your students even on a mobile device. And we have talked in other workshops about breakout rooms. In fact, we did a separate online archived session that's available if you want to learn more about breakout rooms. The idea, though, when you are having students on mobile devices and you want to put them in breakout rooms, it's important to keep in mind that they cannot move themselves from room to room. So backing up here, if you had your students, they were all participating from a computer, and there is the ability to set up breakout rooms and to enable the ability for students to move themselves into a breakout room. So maybe you had 3 different discussion topics and you want students to kind of self-select and pick which one they want and then move themselves into that topic area. If they're on a mobile device, they cannot move themselves into a breakout room. You as the moderator would need to do that. So just keep that in mind. If you are going to use breakout rooms, you need to put the students into the breakout rooms themselves. Now, the mobile participants, they can use all the full communication tools within the breakout room. So, a breakout room is just like the main room, like we're all in right now. You have the same types of communication preferences and abilities. All of those, audio, chat, using emoticons, all of that is possible within the breakout rooms. But since the mobile participants can't navigate the whiteboard pages, so they can't really go forward and backward, someone in that breakout room, if you want students to do a significant amount of perhaps annotation or someone to take notes, the person that's going to do that within the small group really needs to be on a computer. From the mobile app right now, you really can't contribute to a whiteboard or navigate that at all. So one of the workarounds, it would be to have at least one participant within the breakout room have a computer, be using a computer, desktop, or laptop, and then within the whiteboard, it can be set, there can be a role of moderator. You can make that user a moderator and have the whiteboard set to follow. So as then that person that is in essence the scribe or the note taker for the small group discussion is putting those notes on there, or maybe is going to multiple whiteboard slides, as long as the option is checked to follow the moderator on the whiteboard, and that's up in the upper right corner, there's a little follow checkbox that can be clicked. Then as they move from slide to slide, the participants in that breakout room would be able to see everything that's happening. Now, application sharing. This is something that you can do, which is a really powerful feature, the ability to share something that's happening on your screen. Participants on mobile devices can see a shared application. And so for users, especially on the phone, which is a small screen, in order to improve their viewing experience, they can actually zoom in and out to see the shared content. And they see the words application sharing on the bottom of the content area on the mobile device. So to give you an idea of what that looks like, here's a slide which I have two screens here, and this gives you an example of what does application sharing zooming look like. So on the left, this would kind of be the default view where in this example the moderator is sharing Microsoft Word document. So Microsoft Word is being shared, and you can see that there. There's the cursor, is real tiny right up here, upper right corner. So this would be the default view. Now over here on the right, this would be a zoomed in view of that same application share. So the individual user can go ahead and can, with two fingers, can pinch to kind of zoom out, zoom in, just like they're accustomed to doing on the mobile devices already. So they can zoom in and actually, take a closer look at what is being shared. So one of the things I try to do when I'm doing application sharing in Collaborate is make the window I'm sharing as small as possible, so that to try to reduce the amount of zooming that someone would have to do on a smaller device. So for example, you can have Microsoft Word open and you can resize how big the Word window is. Well, the wider it is and the larger it is, the more that Collaborate has to zoom out to try to fit it in on the device. So if you get in the habit of trying to kind of keep your windows sizes smaller so that there's not as much zooming needed, there'll be an overall better experience for users on a mobile device. So just a few other tips about application sharing that I'll throw out is one being the fact that mobile participants, they can't start application sharing even if the moderator grants them application sharing privileges. So one of the things you can do with application sharing is you can turn over permission, if you will, to another user, and they can actually take control of your screen. For a variety of reasons currently, you can't do that from the mobile app. If the moderator grants application sharing permission to a mobile participant, the application sharing permission appears on the participants list of attendees, but not on the mobile attendees. So as a moderator, what this is basically saying, the second bullet point here, is that the system will not allow me to turn control over to someone on a mobile device, because it knows that that person cannot accept that that invitation and take control. So it's nice. The system is smart enough to try to help prevent you as the moderator from doing that. And so these mobile participants, they can't take control of a shared application, but they can obviously see that shared application. Now, another way for sharing content in a Blackboard Collaborate session would be to use what's called Web Tour. So instead of sharing something that's on your screen, you actually pull up a website and you can kind of go through and share that with the participants. Now this feature, Web Tour, is not currently supported. So what ends up happening is if you do a web tour in Blackboard Collaborate, your participants on mobile devices, they would simply see a screen like this that says a web tour is in progress and that the feature is not yet supported. So it's a good idea as the moderator to, if you plan to have students participate from a mobile device, don't do a web tour. What you could do, however, if you wanted to show a website or a series of web pages, rather than doing it as a web tour, you could just have your web browser open and then share your browser window and then go through the website in that sense. So if you're doing an application share, mobile participants do see that. They just don't see web tour at this point. And part of the reason for that is the fact that some websites use Flash or other proprietary types of technologies that aren't yet supported on tablets. And so that's why they're not able to be displayed at this point. So avoid web tour if possible. If you need to do a web tour, if it's the only way to communicate what you need to communicate, if you want students to somehow kind of independently explore a website, that would be the main use case for why you might use a web tour as opposed to an application share. As a moderator, you should announce to the class that a web tour is starting or that you plan to do a web tour, and let them know, remind them that they're not going to see what's happening. Now, one thing that you can do is actually publish or paste the URL to the website that you're touring. You can put that in the text chat and then encourage the mobile participants to bookmark that to view it later. So that's something, a workaround you could do if web tour is something you absolutely had to do to accomplish your goals in that class. But overall, try to avoid that. Now, something that I'm doing today, just to give you a glimpse, I took a snapshot here of kind of my setup today, my laptop and my iPad next to it. And something I try to do is to, if possible, try to have a preview of my session. Maybe even before I'll do it, I'll do a quick run through and see what it looks like on my mobile device. If you have a tablet, those of you that mentioned you do have either a smartphone or a tablet, it's a good idea, especially the first few times that you do a Collaborate session and you are being intentional about making sure that it is mobile compatible, is to see if you can preview it then on your mobile device as well as seeing what it's like on the computer. One of the reasons I do this is the fact that slides on the mobile devices, they load. There's a slight delay in the speed in which they load. So something will come up quicker on the computer, and it depends somewhat on the connection speed and so forth and the processor of the mobal app. So just be aware that if you are able to preview it, I'm able to make sure that Margot sees the slide and that I can see that same experience that she is having on her iPad participating from her iPad. So there is, depending on network connections, it's a couple second delay usually in getting the slides to load. So a few other things to keep in mind, and these are just some reminders. Something else to note is that the timer currently doesn't display on the mobile app. So one of the neat features, one of the things I like to do is I'll have a little timer before we get started, and I'll put that using the timer tool, and I'll have that run. Well, participants on a mobile device, they don't see that timer currently. I already mentioned this, that slides do load slightly slower on mobile devices depending on connection speed, and just keep that in mind. You may want to be a little more deliberate in not flying through a whole bunch of slides very quickly, but make sure that slide is up there for a few seconds so that those on a mobile device, it is able to load and they are able to see that. Remember that you can't push files to mobile devices, but you can post links in the text chat. So if you want to, reference something, a particular resource or something for the participants, for example, once we finish here today, I'm going to post a link to our evaluation for today, and I'm going to put that in the text chat so that we can view it live here. Those of you on your computer, you can view it, but also on the mobile app, the link can be tapped on and can be it'll open in the mobile browser and can be viewed as well. The Android app is coming soon. Those of you viewing the archive, it might already be available. So you want to check the Android App Store for Blackboard Collaborate Mobile. And once it is available, the same features that we talked about here today that are currently available, those should be available once the Android app is available. And these mobile apps, whether it's the iOS or Android, are being actively developed, and I can assure you that new features will be added in the future. So any limitations that are currently in the mobile apps, many of those are being addressed and features built in the future. So just be on the lookout for new features to come in the mobile space as we move forward. So a couple of, as I mentioned, there are a couple of recommended guides, and I referenced these a bit earlier. One is for moderators, and the other is for students. And again, I will post these links. I'll include these in the email I send out, so you'll have them. You can download them, access them. I don't have them quickly typed in here today on my browser, so I'm not going to try to put them in the text chat at the moment, but I will promise to email these out for you. Otherwise, you can, those of you viewing the archive, you can jot these links down and you can access them on your own after the session is finished here today. A couple of other resources that I do want to just point out and draw everyone's attention to if you're not already aware. NIU does have a Blackboard Collaborate resource site. It's basically an extensive page, support page on our Teaching with Blackboard site. It's at niu.edu/blackboard/collaborate. This would be a great place for you to go and bookmark and reference. In fact, the guides that I mentioned on the previous slide, those are all linked from there, as well as a variety of other tutorials and helps are there as well. There is also something for students called Participating in a Blackboard Collaborate Session. It's under the See Also area. But this is actually a page devoted to students that you could provide to your students, and I encourage you to feel free to make that available to them as you start using Blackboard Collaborate. Blackboard Collaborate does have a support site devoted to specifically a variety of different aspects of using Blackboard Collaborate. You can find that at support.blackboardcollaborate.com. Great resource. It's searchable. You can find a lot of great helps and tips there. Now, I had mentioned a bit earlier today that we recently did a workshop kind of digging deeper into a more holistic approach to designing a mobile-friendly Blackboard course. And my colleague Stephanie Richter recently offered this workshop online, and it is recorded. The URL is here on this slide. I'll make sure I include this link as well in the resources I send out to those of you that did participate live. But if you're curious about how can you make your Blackboard course in general more mobile friendly, I'd highly encourage you to review this archived workshop that's definitely recently offered online, and then follow up if you have further questions or you'd like more information. The archives of all of our online workshops are available online. You can find those on the Faculty Development and Instructional Design Center website. If you just head over to niu.edu/facdev, and if you click on the archives link up in the course navigation or the menu at the top of the screen, it'll bring up this program archives page, and you can access all of the former archives that we have made available. Those archives are available publicly. We do make those available through iTunes as a mobile video podcast, and users can access those. So if you are a podcast junkie, you like podcasts, you can actually search iTunes for NIU Faculty Development, and you'll find the NIU Faculty Development Program Archives podcast. You can subscribe for free, and then as we offer future online workshops, they'll automatically be downloaded to your mobile device or your computer. We recently set up a YouTube channel for our department, and if you head over to youtube.com/facdev, you can access all of the archives on YouTube. So if you enjoy YouTube, you can find the archives there, and you can make use of them, access them as you wish from there. We're also on, I meant to mention that we're on Facebook and Twitter. We try to also share resources there, so if you're on either of those social media sites, you can follow FacDev on either of those locations. And I'm going to put my contact info up here as well, so that if anyone wants to follow up, you can feel free to do that. So one last thing as we draw our session here today to a close, as I mentioned, we'd love for you to quickly complete a quick survey of today's session. Give us some feedback. I'm going to stop the recording at this point, and then I will send out that link. Thank you for joining us today. And I see a question here from Isabel. I'll respond to that once I end the recording.